the question will never be a problem. The problem is the answer. It all lies in how you answer the question. But the question must be asked. It doesn't matter how comfortable or uncomfortable the question may be, but answer the question. So I was being like you. I was being youth. And being youth means you must not apologize. And being youth means that you've got a license to make mistakes.
Of course.
But learn from those mistakes and not repeat them, because if you repeat them, it's a decision. It's no longer a mistake. So young people must be free. And young people must never be judged. You guys have got too much energy that must be harnessed and channeled to the right direction, not to be condemned. The youth of today, the youth of it's absolute nonsense. There's no youth of today. That which we are doing today, they did it. They did it. Mandela was worse. Mandela fought physically in meetings with people who were not agreeing with him. Mandela was a boxer. He took it to meetings. One of the presidents of the Youth League, Robert Resha, said in a meeting of the ANC and the youth that revolutionaries must adapt to the concept of murder as a revolutionary activity. So it's the youth. So 1976 youth, you want to speak about them as if they were these people who came from a different planet. No, you know what they did? They went into Shebins and went to kick the bottles and African beers of the elders. Kick them rudely.
Not the 76.
What do you mean? 76. After they were shot, the second action was directed to Shebins. They kicked the alcohols, they demolished the bottle stores, and then they were climbing on top of those tables and say, children are dying, you are drinking alcohol. And then that is respectful in the definition of those who want to be holier than thou. It's not true. It was the youth being the youth. It was charged and it needed direction. Someone grabbed that opportunity and said, this youth is charged. It needs to be given direction. That's why they went into exile, to be trained, to be given political education. The first statement of the ANC, by the way, condemned the student uprising in 1976.
What?
And said the students must go to the class. They belong to the class. Yeah. They don't tell you that.
National Shutdown is happening on the 25th of June 2025. That is led by the President of South African Student Federation, President Keamogetswe Masike. That will be happening in Pretoria into a confrontation with NSFAS department in regards to issues pertaining eviction of students unlawfully, and also with N+ students not being responded to. The reason why also to the other students who are facing defunding, they're not being responded without a reason. So today I'm joined by President Keamogetswe Masike today to highlight on us or for us the reasons why these such things or atrocities are happening in the majority of university. President Keamogetswe, thank you for joining us on Live Seasons.
No, man, thank you very much for having us, Lee, and greetings to your viewers as well.
No, thank you so much. You look shining today. Probably there will be solutions being implemented.
I'm not shining. I'm very frustrated. Because students are subjected to horrible things in the country. I think when we went to Cape Town to meet with the CEO of NSFAS, we hoped that our meeting would bear fruits, because the issues that pertain to NSFAS are systematic challenges. On a yearly basis, we are facing problems that pertain to funding, accommodation, allowances of students, and a lot of problems that pertain to that institution. So when we went there, we hoped that the CEO will take accountability of the dysfunctionality of that institution as a whole. But when we got there, we realized that we're dealing with criminals. We're dealing with people that always want to portray themselves as ethical people, but in actual fact, they don't have the best interests of students of this country at heart. One, second to that, I don't even think their children are also, scholars within our universities. I think I even asked him a question that are your kids enrolled in one of these public institutions? Because this is something that I think is important. The reason why politicians have failed to rigorously understand some of the challenges and problems that black students face is that their kids are not studying in these universities. When you speak about a situation of a child that does not have a meal allowance, politicians don't understand that. So we took it upon ourselves to declare a national shutdown, that it becomes important that now we go to the streets, to demand the attention, one, from the Department of Higher Education, and second to that, to also demand the attention from the Minister of Higher Education.
While still on the higher education scenario, the Higher Education Portfolio Committee Chairperson, Mr. Nobuhle, stated indirectly that the Minister of Higher Education is less accountable and less transparent. What's your reaction on that?
No, he's correct. The minister, in actual fact, must stop being disobedient in public. I think one thing that we've said to the minister was that the minister must take accountability that she's a public servant. When she took oath of office in parliament and was sworn in as a member of parliament, she took a responsibility that I will serve the citizens of this country and adhere to their problems. And she must stop chewing chappies in parliament when important questions are posed to her. So he's correct by saying that the minister needs to come on board. The minister must, take accountability that the higher education sector in South Africa is engulfed with a lot of challenges, and some of these challenges might be, long-standing challenges, and it will require the minister to work extremely hard to, resolve some of these problems. And I think we were the first people to request a comprehensive plan from the minister because till to date we do not understand the program of action on how best does the minister seek to deal with some of the issues in the education sector that pertains to SETAs, that pertains to the funding model of students, fees, accommodation, and a lot of problems that confront black students. So we are still waiting for that plan from her to understand the program of action.
So is it aligned with the fact that you stated that individuals in this institution, including the officials of NSFAS, they don't care about students or black students in particular?
Yeah, most definitely they don't care, because if these officials took some of these matters serious, we will not be facing the crisis that we are facing today, where students are writing exams without having anything to eat, where students are receiving eviction letters to go home. In actual fact, yesterday I received a very painful WhatsApp from a young lady who's enrolled at the Durban University of Technology, where she said to us that she just received an eviction letter. She must go back home, she attempted to speak with the landlord, explaining that she comes from a poor background. She tried to seek assistance from university officials, NSFAS officials. She wrote countless emails to NSFAS seeking, assistance on her case. But till today, these people have not really assisted her, so it's painful. So when I realized that, I saw that she's one of many, because the current problem of NSFAS is a national problem. Over 10,400 students are currently defunded. There are many outstanding allowances that were not paid to students drawing from the 2023 academic year, 2024 academic year. 2025, it means that that number might have increased. So I can tell you that thousands of black students across institutions of higher learning in the country are clueless. Many have lost hope. Many have dropped out. Many have surrendered their future, their education, on the basis that government is failing to roll out free education in this country. NSFAS is dysfunctional. No one wants to take accountability. No one wants to take a responsibility that must be able to give us a way forward on what is to be done. People are just masquerading as ethical people. When I go to Cape Town, I realized that for NSFAS to even have offices in Cape Town was deliberate, because they knew that for them to have offices around metropolitan campuses, they're going to face many problems. So it is deliberate that office is there, where they pay a rent of 2 million. And I even said to them, but you are saying that you do not have money, but you are paying a rent of 2 million here in this office. Who are you paying here in Cape Town? Who is benefiting behind the scenes with such an exorbitant amount of rent? The students in Matatiele now who do not have anything to eat. Students now in Mangosuthu University of Technology, who are living in atrocious living conditions on the basis that where they were staying, they were evicted, and now they had to go and rent back rooms in a community, and it's very unfortunate, because these are some of the problems that young people in this country are facing, and it's very unfortunate that no one wants to take accountability to respond to some of these concerns that confront black students.
I keep on hearing you, black students in particular, that you are in the forefront for fighting for in times Uguti. They get to be liberated in whatever spaces that they're at, whether in universities or other, they are facing issues such as NSFAS and also eviction as well. Do you think maybe in particular white students are also being faced with such issues? Do you think they're not the victims of such things?
Why are they not coming to the picket lines to assist us when we protest? Why are white people not joining us in the picket lines when black students are queuing and saying that we have not received our allowances for the past 3 months, we don't have anything to eat, we don't have a place to sleep, we don't even know what to do? Why are white people not coming to the picket lines to assist black students in fighting? If they are really concerned or they are also affected, why are they not there? And I even asked them a question to say, how many white people do we have in South Africa that are currently using NSFAS? Because I've never seen any white person anywhere queuing and suggesting that I have not received any form of allowance from NSFAS, and the struggles that confront black students resonate with me as a white person.
NSFAS released a statement stating there's not only black students who are faced with this particular issue.
There's no such a thing. I have rejected that statement. We've rejected that statement, because when you speak about the poor and the working class, who is the poor and the working class in the context of the economic question of how South Africa is structured? Because we're speaking about those that come from impoverished backgrounds, children of domestic workers, children of farmers, children that come from child-headed home families. So we will not betray the struggles that identify black people as subjects of the current consequences of the system. If we're saying that black people are in majority and they are the ones that are affected, we must not be shy to speak against that. In actual fact, I told them that we're not going to agree that, of course, we would agree that we live in a diverse country and all of that. But I'm saying, who is affected? How many white people are affected with NSFAS? When black students travel from villages, communities and townships during the registration period, how many white people do we see queuing there? How many white people do we see standing a queue to register in a university in South Africa today? How many of those white people?
So what do you think the process that they use to be admitted in universities?
The question remains that till today, we still do not have an answer on how do they apply and how do they get admitted in our universities. Because we only see them during orientation, when universities have opened gates for everyone to maybe perhaps go and register and all of that. But I'm saying that during the process where universities are saying no walk-ins, and there are black students who have traveled across different communities, rural areas of this country, queuing outside, not receiving any form of assistance from universities. How many white people do we see queuing there and being subjected to a hot sun, being subjected to the militarization of security guards that prohibit them on accessing these universities? How many white people do we see queuing in a NSFAS office suggesting that I have not received an allowance, I have not received a book allowance, a meal allowance? How many of those people do we have in our universities?
So do you think...
Maybe perhaps we must also now think along the lines that suggest that maybe perhaps white people are also the orchestras that are orchestrating NSFAS to be dysfunctional, because we don't know. Maybe perhaps white people are shareholding in that institution and making it difficult for people.
Mara, those are allegations.
To have, no, I'm just saying it's in context.
So do you even think they do qualify for NSFAS? And how do they afford their tuition fees?
I'm saying that white people have shares in our universities. White people are stakeholders. White people control the economic projects of our universities. White people control on who must supply tissue paper in our universities. And I can tell you for a fact that many of, some of these policies that are regressive and are making it difficult for black students to have free education in this country, white people are behind that orchestration. And I can tell you, we've not seen any child of white. I don't want to make this thing about white people, because we know that they are not affected. We know that they have, the means and resources to survive in our universities. And when we say that universities must close, they're the first ones to say that. But why must universities close? So we know that they don't understand our struggle. But I'm saying that we will only speak about black students that are currently affected now and do not have shelter, and many have went to lecture halls to write main examinations without having anything to eat, many sleeping in toilets, many sleeping in lecture halls, many sleeping in the streets. I can tell you that some have even went to an extent of hiding themselves in the streets because they do not have shelter. They come from villages, they can't even call parents. Because I think one thing that we must also say that is that the meal allowance that black students receive from government, a portion of that allowance, some of these students take that portion to assist siblings and parents. There's also, because we interact with these students, we're leading a constituency of over 50,000 students in South Africa. So I can tell you for a fact that there are many sensitive cases that we receive on a daily basis where, students would reach out to us and say, my father works in a mine and he only comes back home after 3 months. And the allowance that I get from my father is only 500. And I can't call my mother because my mother is unemployed. I don't have any sibling that has financial capacity to assist me. So it's very difficult. I'm even considering on doing wrong things because even where I am in a university, I do not even have friends that relate with the background question of where I come from. So I can tell you there are many sensitive cases of black ordinary students that have went to universities to seek for a future, a better future. But because there's, a sabotage, many of those students are deprived of that opportunity.
We are still currently on June, which we tribute the June 16 massacre that transpired in 1976, where we commemorate the leaders or we commemorate the students that fought for equality in this country. So while talking to you, engaging with you, it shows that there's still no equality within our means of areas that we currently into, like universities and communities. What is your reaction on that? How can we, as communities or the officials of government that are being elected by the people, to meet these atrocities or to meet this requirement of equality?
June 16, my brother, is no longer... It's very painful, I think, to celebrate June 16 when young people don't have jobs. When young people have graduated in our universities but are facing historic debt. Many did not receive qualifications to go and look for employment. And their qualifications have become decorations in their rooms, at home, and in their respective spaces of where they stay. And the unfortunate part about the current political epoch of today, in context of the 1976 struggle, is that June 16 has become a campaigning strategy for politicians. It is no longer a significant day where politicians really draw, inspiration from young people who fought against the injustices of the apartheid government at the time, where we saw young people fighting that taverns must not close because there is this Bantu education that must be fought. There is this massacre against black students, the regime killing black students. So I'm saying that it is very unfortunate today because we celebrate this June 16, but we don't really understand the struggle of Botsietsi Mashinini, who were in the forefront. Until today, there's no one who can attest on how Tsietsi Mashinini died. His death still remains a mystery. Bo Hector Peterson, who died in the picket lines fighting for education. And I'm saying that we are that generation today because we will not, it's Amika Cabral who says that each generation must identify its mission, and it's either they fulfill it or they betray it. And we are saying that we are that generation that we will not betray the struggle and the mission of free, fair and decolonized education. We are going to die in the picket lines because we find meaning in the picket lines. We find meaning in the struggles that makes us Abantu. We find meaning in the struggles of our communities, the hardships that face young people in our country. We find meaning in those. So it's very unfortunate where we are celebrating Youth Month today, but there's a massacre against black women in the country. There's a gender-based violence question that is rising rapidly, where we see many students dying in the hands of men, perpetrators escaping easily, not being convicted of such crimes, violence against children, rising rapidly. It's very painful, my brother, that we celebrate all these days, but there's no solutions to youth unemployment till today. There's no solutions to, poverty and all of that.
One of the cases that we're surrounding the South African context is that the Xwexwe case has been dropped down because there's no prominent evidence that states that the principal initially was found on that. But let's hope justice will be served. I want to come on the center of this national shutdown, which is that will be happening, being led by you on the 25th of June 2025. But I want to start here. The reason why, not the reason, you stated that the CSRC is failing to hold executives accountable. What basis maybe that made you to state that?
I'm saying that SRCs must hold university officials accountable.
How would they hold them accountable?
And why do we say that in context? It is to say SRCs across the length and breadth of our country who are currently in office must not be obsessed with the soft landing question on what happens after my term of office. They must not be, or rather they must not agree to be reduced to prefects because they are being bullied or manipulated by university administrators, HODs, directors, and all of those people. And the reason why I'm saying that we were suspended years ago when we were leading in the SRCs, in the SRC, and we saw that it will be very much incorrect for us to betray the struggles of black students while there are national important questions that these university officials must answer. And the reason why I'm saying that they're not being held accountable, universities using the powers that are given to them, they must be able to assist SRCs in answering some of these national questions that maybe perhaps universities might want to justify that it's beyond their control. These decisions are taken by the Department of Education, all of that. We requested a face-to-face meeting with the outgoing Minister of Education when we were engulfed with an NSFAS financial challenge at the time. But universities did not assist us. And I'm saying that it is not me. It is a national cry of ordinary students within campuses that are saying that, but we are reaching out to student leadership, and student leadership is not assisting us. So, but we know that in TUT, the SRC president there is really trying to engage the executive. We saw that there was a protest, the sporadic protest, of which I think we must also applaud student leadership across universities in making sure that they try to at least hold these people accountable, because universities are really escaping with murder now, on the basis that they are failing to provide direction on what is to be done with the NSFAS question. In particular, that there's a question that also pertains to the registration data of students, where students would maybe perhaps go and inquire that I've called NSFAS. NSFAS says that they've not received registration data. We've told students that's a lie. Universities have long sent registration data to NSFAS during the first quarter of the academic year, and that is why students have been receiving allowances. So you can see that there's people here who are trying to run away from a public responsibility of actually providing leadership, because sometimes when you don't have answers, you must say no, we don't have answers. But you must not make our students fools by telling them that no, go call this person, go call that other person, and then when they call that person, they are still not assisted. So it's very painful, my brother, that there's a circus, there's a circus that is currently ongoing within our universities. The education sector is engulfed with a lot of challenges that go beyond NSFAS. Unfortunately, we are currently now facing on this NSFAS challenge because there's thousands of our students are currently affected, but the education sector is engulfed with a lot of problems, and I hope that we will be able to resolve this NSFAS question and start now tapping into other much more important issues that need our attention in the sector.
One of the things you stated is that the University of Free State, they are intending to deregister students. What basis, what gives them the right to do that? And how far is that?
They don't have a right to deregister our students. That's suicide.
They say, what's the purpose of doing that?
That's suicide, and the reason why we're saying that the university will have hanged itself, because you can't try to plot students that they must go home. It's what I'm saying when I'm saying universities are clueless on what to do, and they are scared to confront students and tell them the honest truth that we do not have answers on the particular challenges that you are facing. So they'll always try to work around strategies and tactics to run away from responsibility and accountability, right? Because students now are saying that we are not receiving allowances, and in actual fact, this TVET cycle nonsense, it's a mess, because it's not like these students are not funded. The students are funded. The problem is that their meal allowances are allocated in another university. So what we said to NSFAS was that if a student is funded and he or she has met the requirements of NSFAS, which the requirements of NSFAS is poverty, in order for you to get approval from NSFAS, for you to be eligible for funding, you must be poor. And many students have met those requirements. So their funding is placed elsewhere, and we've requested that NSFAS must then reallocate those particular funds to an institution where that particular student is registered in. And no one wants to be decisive in that particular political question that must be answered. And now students are stranded. So what the University of Free State is intending to do, students are writing exams now. So we got intelligence that immediately when students leave for recess, those that are currently affected with this TVET cycle nonsense and do not have funds and are bound to face academic and financial exclusion, the university will deregister them on the basis that no one will have taken a responsibility to pay for their fees. And of course, understanding the fact that they come from poor backgrounds and many might not be in a position to settle those particular fees. But we're saying that that's a total violation of human rights, because you can't deregister a student that came in a university, met all academic requirements, and has come to seek for greener pastures, and you want to take that particular right from that particular student. So we are cautioning, sending a strong warning to the University of Free State that they must not attempt, because We will not agree, and we will respond to that particular issue.
I want to come on the issue of eviction, which is close to my heart, in regards to the Bill of Rights states that I must have the right to shelter. And we stated that student accommodation project is a money laundering scheme, and individuals just want to become millionaires at a fast track. So I want to know, how far is that? What's the reason in students being evicted from their residential places?
Unfortunately, in South Africa now, my brother, you are having many people who are opportunistic. The National Student Financial Aid Scheme has attracted a lot of political opportunism, business interest from people that do not have the interests of ordinary black students at heart. And it has become a business. Our bids today are commodified. That is why during the academic year, when it commences on a yearly basis, there will always be a delay on how much must students pay for in terms of the cap, how much is the cap, how much is the percentage that must increase, because there's a lot of corruption that is happening there. And it's very unfortunate that the very same people who are evicting our students are subjecting them to atrocious living conditions. Many of our students are staying in residences that don't have hot water, security, beds are very bad, and students are staying in hostels, they're staying in prisons, and that is why we've made a clear call to say that students must take pictures of where they stay, so that we're able to expose some of these people who are taking the NSFAS money to become self-made millionaires while subjecting our students to bad living conditions. So it's unfortunate that it has become a business where students must pay for beds. If you do not have money, it means that you can't have shelter. If you do not have money, it means that you can't have access to a Wi-Fi. You can't have access to a bus. So these are some of the things that students are paying for. And another thing that we've picked up is that the very same students that are paying for these beds, 5% is also deducted from their allowances. And this 5% is paid to the people that they call solution partners, a middleman that NSFAS appointed to deal with the accommodation project. And we've said to NSFAS must do away with this middleman. What is the use of getting someone to render a service on behalf of NSFAS? So our students are still being robbed of that money that is being deducted illegally without their knowledge or consent, by the way, that is being paid to these dodgy, faceless people that you don't even know what is their role, what is their responsibilities in the sector. But it's very unfortunate that the student accommodation project in South Africa indeed has become a business. That is why students will be evicted at any time. Students will just be told that they must go home, and no one is held accountable. No one is actually being interrogated on the basis of why must students be evicted, because they do not have money. Students are held hostage. Students must sign acknowledgement of debts. The belongings of our students are being repossessed by landlords who are profit-driven and do not have the interests of black students. It is very painful, my brother, because this is the reality that confronts all students that are staying in. Students are having headache every day. Students are anxious. Students are always panicking on what is to happen, because even these caretakers that are taken from the streets, who are given a responsibility to oversee some of these things, they also bully our students in their rooms. You find a caretaker coming at night, knocking, requesting that students must pack and they must pay, not really considering the fact that the students might have an academic responsibility maybe to study at the time. And that is how reckless they are. So it is very painful that these are some of the things that students are undergoing. And we know some of these things because we are in touch with these students. We know of the sexual favors that some of these people are requesting from our students as a means of paying rent. Our students now must have must be requested sexual favors to pay rent, and it's very unfortunate that no one is saying anything about some of these challenges that black women and men are facing in our universities today.
One of the pictures that we're making rounds in social media is the picture with a toilet inside the kitchen in a certain accommodation. I mean, you are fighting for such things to be eradicated, if I'm not wrong. And you stated that the language that they do understand is going to the streets. This marks the second shutdown that you called this year before you went to NSFAS on the 21st of May. So I want to know, Guti, in this second national shutdown that you have called, what's so different than the other one?
Remember, the first one did not happen. We decided to postpone it on the basis that we thought that maybe perhaps it's still premature for us to go to the streets because now these cases are coming. And we needed to understand the balance of forces in the country. One, who is affected, how are they affected, the different cases, and that is why on our social platforms on a daily basis, we always try to discharge your petitions, your Google forms, just to get clarity on who is affected and how. So we thought that it will be very premature for us to go and advocate for maybe 3 cases while there are many other cases that are coming. So it's unfortunate that now we are approaching the end of the first semester, and now these issues are many. It's defunding, it's evictions, it's appeals, it's loan rejections, it's N+ questions, and all of that. So we thought we thought that now it's compelling now for us to actually now go to the streets to rigorously now go and attend, because we do not want to leave anyone behind. We don't want to leave anyone behind when we are addressing the NSFAS particular question. And I'm saying that it's not going to be normal because we're going to hold people accountable. If you remember, when we were in Cape Town, we had to even prolong our stay because we said that this memorandum must be responded to in less than 48 hours, and we will not leave Cape Town up until this memorandum is given full attention. So we will write we will hand over a memorandum of consent to the Department of Education and the Minister's office. We will give them a time frame to respond to some of those problems, and we will then be guided on the manner and the approach that the department would want to employ in dealing with some of these issues.
So what does the memorandum incline? What are the strategic points or vital points that the memorandum inclines inside?
It's our dissatisfaction around, of course, the systematic challenges that students must face on a daily basis that pertain to NSFAS. It's tiring that every year we must speak about NSFAS. Every year NSFAS. It's even boring. So we're saying that part and parcel of what we are going to stress there is that we need to understand what has the board done, because remember there's a new board that was appointed. We need to understand what has the board done thus far to deal with some of these issues. We need to understand what has the CEO done thus far to deal with some of these issues. We also need to understand what has the minister's intervention around some of these issues. What are tangible solutions that has the minister proposed in dealing with some of these issues. So of course we will deal with some of these issues, but I'm just trying to give context of our approach to the matter. But of course the memorandum will be entailing of all issues: the TVET cycle question problem, the defunding, the appeal, the N+ question, the loan rejections, the appeals rejected, and unlawful withdrawal of funding, defunding, because the issue of defunding is close to my heart as well, because we fail to understand why must students be defunded during the academic year, and why must NSFAS commit to fund these people, and then when we are approaching the peak of the academic year, NSFAS decides to regularly defund them. So they must give us a thorough explanation on why they do that. And then of course we also condemn the lies of NSFAS, because they are liars, those people. They lie, man. Those people, they are liars, man. So they also said that the appeal window was open for 30 days and there was communication that was sent. That was not done. And second to that, the reason why there's also a misconception around the window cycle is that NSFAS, when they opened their applications during September, they never communicated with students that this window is open for TVET. And I said to the CEO of NSFAS, they must release an official statement apologizing to the public to say that the error and the mistake came from our side. And they must make means that there is allocation of money to the students that might have applied for NSFAS during that particular window. But not to also speak about this window and this other window. NSFAS must just open. Applications must not be called a window for TVET, a window for universities. For what? For what? Because when you apply for funding and you request funding from NSFAS, you are requesting funding to go to any institution. It's either a TVET, it's either a university. NSFAS must then be able to pick up that Lee has registered in Venda and we are going to allocate his funding in Venda. Because remember, we also don't come from areas where there's privilege of the internet. There's a privilege of information. A child in Matatiela in the Eastern Cape might not be knowledgeable that this is what's happening, because that child does not have a phone, that child does not have a data, which has become a commodity of communication today. That child might not have access to go to the nearest internet cafe to apply, to actually read about some of these things. But that child might maybe ask assistance from someone else to please apply for me. So there's a lack of information that our students are having because of the background question of where they come from. So NSFAS must not neglect that social responsibility of understanding where our students are coming from. Because if I come from Gazimizing in KZN and I don't know anything because I'm deprived of the internet where I stay, we don't have proximity to internet cafes and all of that, I might not know certain things that. So NSFAS must not use its proximity to a lavish lifestyle that they enjoy in Cape Town, of just being exposed to the beach and thinking that everyone has internet on the places that they are chilling there and they're enjoying Wi-Fi icons in their offices and not and thinking that or assuming that everyone has that privilege.
We can't slide from the fact that you were part of the negotiations or the discussions on the 21st of May with NSFAS officials. You raised such problems that students are facing in daily basis. What was the solution? Is there any solution that you agreed upon with him? This is the solution, this is the mandate, this is how we are going to move. Is there any solution you came about?
The reason why we're going to the street is that we've rejected their responses. Remember when we went there, we had to explain our dissatisfaction around them also being in Cape Town.
Yes.
We also had to tell them that we're not happy that you are in Cape Town, because we also had to fundraise, ask for donations, because we don't have money, we are poor. We had to ask for donations to come here to meet you. And we had to raise our dissatisfactions, but of course we had to also present a document that speaks about the issues that we are presenting now, to say that on this particular issue we are not happy about one, we're not happy about two, and we're giving you a time frame to respond to some of those issues. And when they responded, we then rejected it. And we going to the streets on the 25th of June is also our sign of our rejection on the responses that they given to us in the meeting that we had with them on the 21st of May in Cape Town. So
many of the allegations imposed on NSFAS is that NSFAS is a money-making scheme. Do you also believe in that?
It's possible. It's possible because it's possible, and the reason why I'm saying that, why must there be a middleman to render a public service to people? Why must NSFAS pay private companies to render a public service that must be free? So it is a money-making institution. We saw it when fintech companies were appointed 3-4 years ago, where students were robbed of allowances, where students were charged exorbitant levies to withdraw already their insufficient meal allowances. So it is indeed a money-making scheme, and that is why politicians have made it deliberate for it to be dysfunctional. Politicians have made that institution to be dysfunctional so that everyone gets to benefit the billions that are allocated in that institution. Money, by the way, public funds that must take black students to school. Politicians saw it fit or see it fit for them to appoint friends and relatives, girlfriends, to do business there, companies to do the accommodation. People must bring pencils. It's companies or friends. I can tell you, in actual fact, I think it's important now that we must write officially to Parliament to request the procurement database of who does business with NSFAS. I can tell you what we saw there at SITAS, where the minister appointed friends there. I can tell you we're going to find that the very same thing happening at NSFAS. If NSFAS can give us a solid database procurement,
a proper review,
on who does what, who supplies what there, I can tell you relatives of politicians are there, relatives of people who are in government are there in that procurement department, and I think we must do that.
I want to ask 2 questions, then we close up. Let's just say, for an example, you take this to the streets, and also there is no proper solutions being implemented. What is the way forward?
Because we are also guided by collective wisdom. And that is why we've sent an invitation to political organizations, student leaders, religious society, cultural groups, civil society, is that we will be able to maybe sit down and strategize around. I can't take a decision. I'm always subjected to the wisdom of the collective, and based on the responses that we will get on that day, I think the collective, the leadership will have to sit down and strategize around what is to be done. But what I can assure you, it's not going to be business as usual. This is just the first leg. If we don't win, we might need to prepare for the second leg, but we're not going to.
So if you say the second leg, there's a third national shutdown as well.
That's why I'm saying that this is a first leg. So if they don't respond to us properly, we will go back to the drawing board and come back for the second leg. And maybe in that second leg, it might not be nice, because business cannot be usual when students are.
What do you mean it won't be nice? You'll be vandalizing?
We don't vandalize.
It's a peaceful march.
You can't, Lee, it's very important, my brother, to be guided as a revolutionary. We are proponents of academic excellence, and we've never condoned the banning and vandalism of university infrastructure on the basis that we understand the context. And it is the June of 1976 as well that condemned the banning of university infrastructure, even though maybe the formula might have been different at the time because material conditions are not the same. But we have never anywhere condoned the banning of university infrastructure, and that is why we even said to the leadership at WUSU when Sisonke Mbolekwa was shot and killed by a residence manager there. We said that we are not even sure whether it's student leadership that banned the res manager's car there and the res, because it remains allegations, because we know that student leadership in approach, all of them combined, they don't condone the banning and vandalism of university infrastructure.
May I please give you 30 seconds to talk to your people who will be part of the national shutdown?
No, it's very important that students come on the day of action. By no means others might want to go home and all of that, but there's an intelligence that we've also received that come second semester, the numbers might be double. Those that are currently funded might find themselves being defunded. The reason why we're going to the streets now is that we've received that intelligence to say that the crisis that is currently ongoing, we might be facing much more serious challenges. So it is important that students take it upon themselves to go to the streets to fight for their right to education. No one will fight for them. Fighting on Twitter, WhatsApp, Facebook has never been beneficial in any struggle. It is young people who must not donate their lives and their education to politicians and government, but young people must take it upon themselves to fight for what is due to them.
No, thank you so much, President Keamogetswe, for joining us on Live Seasons TV. That was the president of South African Student Federation, who's proposing a national shutdown on the 25th of June 2025 in regards to issues pertaining students making routes across the country, whether in TUT, whether in DUT, whether in UKZN. Students are being faced with eviction, students are being faced with defunding unlawful in the middle of the year during their examinations. So I would like to see your comments upon this particular issue and how also NSFAS can be held accountable and how they can also be transparent. Also, President Keamogetswe stated the fact that the Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane, the Minister of Higher Education, must propose transparency and a review in regards how does she appoint her board. That's me, Live Seasons TV, Emily. Thank you so much for joining us.
I can't even ship my price today. Niggas been thinking for eyes today. Never been thinking for price today. Let me season me. I cannot think about scrutiny. I make my flame on my business. I'm a brand of my business. Let me season me. I cannot think about scrutiny. I make my flame on my business. I'm a brand of my business. I don't smoke.